I was pouring coffee when the jackhammer started chewing through my father's pasture like it was scrap paper. No warning. No letter. No call. Just steel teeth biting into the land I swore I'd protect. Well, you know how it goes. In small towns, when someone says progress, everyone nods, even when it's standing on your front porch. That morning I stood there, mugged warm in my hand, and watched men in orange vests carve straight lines across the same field my dad used to mow with that old John Deere that coughed more than it cut. A white banner flapped where our fence once stood. Future Prairie Oak Shops brought to you by the Riverbend HOA. The HOA president. Lorraine, folks call her Madam Chair, like we're holding UN meetings instead of barbecues. Rolled up in her pearl-white SUV, sunglasses, clipboard, smile, sharp enough to slice butter. "Good morning," she said, too cheerful. "You'll be happy to know we finally secured the easements. This'll raise everyone's property values." I took a slow sip. "You mean my property?" She tilted her head, rehearsed and polite. "The community's green corridor, actually." She pointed to a dotted line on some glossy map I'd never seen. "The board voted unanimously. Congratulations, your field's about to be useful." Useful. That word hit me harder than any machine. The map showed a diagonal slice straight through the middle acres my father fenced with his own hands. I felt my jaw tighten. Not angry yet, just that metallic taste that comes before it. "My dad's buried within sight of this porch," I said quietly. "Useful is for tools, not people, not land." She smiled wider, the way some folks do when they think you'll break first. "The surveyor said the deed language is ambiguous," she said. "We'll be great neighbors." And she turned, waved at the foreman, and the machine screamed back to life. I tried reasoning first. "Ask the foreman for permits?" He shrugged at Lorraine. "Asked Lorraine for the survey." She emailed a midnight PDF full of colored lines and footnotes that answered everything except the one thing that mattered. Who owns this ground? 2 days later came the certified letter. Legal phrases stacked like bricks, right of way. Community development, pursuant to covenants and restrictions. It all boiled down to 3 words. We're taking it. That's the moment disbelief turns into steel. When the law gets used like a crowbar, so I drove down to the county office. Pulled the original deed, my grandfather's name in those slow, careful letters from a man who thought ink could anchor a life. That paper wasn't just ownership. It was family history written in black and white. Then I found the HOA. Declarations. Nothing. Not a single word granting them the right-of-way they claimed. They had a utility easement. That's it. A buried water line near the back fence. In their new survey, built on a phantom plat, a proposed map that was rejected and never recorded. A ghost used like a weapon. That night, I spread the documents across Mom's old kitchen table. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that sounds like her humming from the next room. I could almost hear her say it, "Don't swing wild. Stand where the ground is strongest." So I did. Hired a lawyer whose handshake was dry and short, like striking a match. We documented everything, every nail, every pore, every bragging HOA Facebook post that said Phase 1 under budget. I saved it all. Then I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I let them build, not because I was scared, but because I was patient. They poured concrete where Dad used to toss orange slices to little leaguers. They ran conduit where my sister learned to ride her wobbling Schwinn. Steel sprouted like weeds. And every evening, I watered my tomatoes, waved to the workers, and pressed record on the camera tucked beneath the EV. Neighbors whispered that I'd given up. One even offered to buy the place before it gets busy. I smiled, kept my receipts, made one more copy of the deed, sealed in plastic like a family Bible. Then came the showdown Friday night. Dusk hanging soft and blue. Lorraine climbed my steps without knocking. Same clipboard. Same perfume that smelled like a florist's guilt. "We're at a pivotal juncture," she said, sitting like she owned the chair. The lenders just need your signature to clean up the title. I glanced at the paper. I, the undersigned, consent and ratify the HOA's right-of-way. I set it down. You still think those parcels are yours? They're needed, she said. For all of us. I poured her a glass of water because my mother raised me that way. I'm not signing, I said. You've been trespassing for 91 days. I've recorded every minute. Her smile cracked. Let's not make this adversarial. It already is, I said. You brought the first shovel. She left, stiff as a picket. The next morning, 2 violations appeared on my mailbox. Non-compliant signage for my flag. Yard maintenance for my tomatoes. Classic HOA retaliation. A few days later, the sheriff showed up. Afternoon, he said. Complaint about trespassing. I handed him a coffee and a binder. Got the deed, deputy. The real one. We talked under the hickory while the jackhammers echoed behind us. He flipped through the binder, shook his head slow. This'll be for a judge, not me. I know, I said, and I've saved them from a mistake they'll never make again. Court took months, the slow kind of justice that makes you question your patience. But when our day came, the room was packed. Neighbors who'd once nodded at progress came to see what it looked like. Under oath, my lawyer went first. .com, clean. He placed the original deed on the table, then the phantom plat rejection, then a stack of time-stamped photos. He called the surveyor. Sir, my lawyer asked, did you rely on a recorded easement? The man hesitated. We relied on the preliminary plat. Was that plat recorded? No. Did you tell the HOA that? He looked down. We assumed it would be. Assumptions are expensive. Lorraine took the stand next. Navy blazer. Perfect posture. She talked about community improvement and underutilized land. Underutilized. That word again. When it was my turn, I didn't grandstand. I told the truth about Dad's fence posts, Mom's songs, that coughing tractor, and how some lines on a map mean more than money ever could. I said I didn't hate development, just lies. My lawyer closed his binder, looked at the judge. We moved to quiet title and enjoined further construction. The judge sighed, took off his glasses. Title is clear. Parcels B and C belong to the plaintiff. HOA construction is enjoined immediately. Could feel the air shift. Someone clapped once before catching themselves. Lorraine stared at the floor. And for the first time in months, I felt the ground solid beneath me again. Weeks later came the settlement. The HOA paid for restoration. The banks pulled out. They even funded a scholarship in my father's name for the high school ag program. My lawyer said we could go for damages, but I'd already won what mattered. One Saturday. A few neighbors came with shovels and post-hole diggers. Even the deputy showed up with a bag of nails. We rebuilt the fence along the same line Dad drew years ago. When it was done, I raised a new flagpole by the porch. The old flag faded, mended twice by my wife, went up slow. The wind caught it just right, steady and proud. That night, I sat on the porch where Dad used to sit. The field was quiet again. The soil hummed, like it had been holding its breath too long. You know, I learned something through all this. You don't have to shout to stand your ground. You don't have to be cruel to be strong. Paper matters. Promises matter. And if someone calls your family's story underutilized, smile. Make a record. And let the truth speak for itself in a room where the floor is level. They say Lorraine moved across town, where every lawn matches and every fence is HOA approved. I wish her peace, the kind that comes from owning what's truly yours. As for me, I walk the fence most evenings. Run my hand along the new cedar. Feel the knots like Braille, spelling out everything I already know. The stores they promised never rose. But wildflowers did, the purple kind my mother loved. Come spring, I'll leave a strip for the bees. That's progress enough for me. And if you ever drive by, you'll know the place, the porch light warmed by supper, the flag knowing its direction, and a field that still remembers its name. Ever stood up to an HOA bully or any kind of bully and felt your knees shake while you did it anyway? Tell me below. I read every story. If you believe some fights are worth having, hit subscribe and join our porch stories.